Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to Philadelphia Eagles, Nothing Held Back. With Mayor Jimmy.
What's going on, guys?
We got
Fun day
Will,
today, right?
Hey.
and we got the Armenian Hammer, Vahe.
Hi, guys.
Vahe, you and I are the older people here, so how long have you been an Eagles fan?
Oh, since the beginning, 80s.
Well, for me, it's been since the 70s, so that's, it's more than 40 years. Have you ever seen anything like this fiasco this year?
Well, Chip Kelly was a fiasco too, but the news conference today was really full of, full of crap. I think he underestimates Eagles fans' intelligence and knowledge. Using fancy words, he thinks that he's going to sell something, but in reality, just being, fake and people not buying what he's selling.
Yeah, I agree. For people that don't know really what we're talking about, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Pederson, was fired today after his second end-of-year meeting with Jeffrey Lurie. After the first meeting, apparently, reports came out by Chris Mortensen of ESPN that Lurie was not really happy with the initial meeting, so he requested another meeting today. And some of the reports on today's meeting was that one of the things that Lurie wanted to know was who his coaches are going to be if we move forward with Pederson as the coach. And I don't think he was happy with that. And I think one of the main things was that since Lurie likes offense, and most of the people in the NFL are offensive, oriented people that like to watch a lot of offense, that he wanted Press Taylor as his offensive coordinator, and I think he wanted someone better. As a result, he was let go, and there were also reports that he also told Lurie that he was just sick and tired of being told what to do. So, Jimbo, break it down for me. Tell me your thoughts on this whole thing.
I believe it. I think Doug's been coaching all year. I think he wanted to get fired. I think he wanted this to happen. He's tired of being a puppet for the organization. He's taking all the hits out there. When was the last time we saw Howie talk besides the end of the year? Same thing with Lurie. He's tired of being a hitman, not being able to pick his coaches. And I just think he had enough of it. And, they decided to split ways.
That's true. But Will, let's think about this now. Let's delve into this seriously. Let's talk about Pederson's coaching. What did you think he did this year as a coach?
Look, it's pretty obvious just watching, this season play out. Some of the calls that he made during games, in-game decisions, just didn't really make any sense. Him being fired to me it's pretty justified if you look at the whole picture. The whole season, or even the last 5 years that he's been here, you can't really name any players that have gotten better. Ever since Frank Wright left, the offense is kind of, almost flatlined. It's getting worse and worse each year. I don't know if he's not making adjustments or adapting to the NFL like other coaches are, but you kind of just don't see that from Doug. But also, just the way that last game played out, there was rumors that players were having to be held back from confronting Doug. He kind of lost the locker room from that. Whether that was his decision or Jeffrey Lurie's, I don't know. But if you're going to be a head coach, you gotta be able to put your foot down and tell everybody you're the boss. That's not how you're going to end the season off.
Yeah, I agree totally. But I also think, and I also know, and like all the other fans in Philadelphia, that this goes a lot further than the head coach. I think it's just spilled out over the entire organization.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's one step of what really needs to happen. It is a lot bigger picture of just the coach or just the quarterback. I mean, it starts up top, and just from hearing Jeffrey Lurie's press conference today, I mean, clearly there's a huge disconnect between him and the team and everybody. I mean, he had every excuse in the book for Harry Roseman today, and every reporter that was asking questions was basically trying to find a way for him just to admit that Howie Roseman is a huge problem, and Jeffrey just wouldn't admit it.
That's true, but the only problem with the Zoom conferences is that you can always ask a follow-up question easily in person to whoever is being interviewed. On Zoom, it's a lot more difficult. So it's actually easier for the person that is being asked the questions because they normally go on to the next person. So these Zoom conferences are really better for the person being interviewed than the people that are interviewing. Vahe, with this result that just happened today, will Carson Wentz be on this team next year?
Don't know. It's all going to depend on a new coach. And the way Lurie sounded today, they're not in a rush to get anybody. They're going to wait until the best guy is available, which is ironic to me. It's usually this other way around. Everybody's trying to get the best guy available as possible. But he sounded like he's not really in a hurry. And I don't know what he's thinking. And also, I think it's a mess. I think the team is in a mess.
Yeah, it's a complete disconnect. Yeah,
There's
it's a complete disconnect.
There's a big disconnect between him and reality, to be honest with you.
Well, it's funny. I have to admit that I admire this Lurie because even though it took a week, he made the move, and everybody in Philadelphia felt like it was time. Same thing happened when he fired Andy Reid, when he had that 4-12 team. Everybody knew that Andy Reid lost the locker room after that year. He was 8-8 the year before, and it just seemed like he was losing the locker room little by little. And then he had a 4-12 year, and he let him go, even though they were close. And even though he only talked to Pederson for just a few moments, talked about Pederson for a few moments in the press conference, he did say that he was very, very close to him and his family. And I think he genuinely did feel really bad for him. But, I think also Doug Pederson has had a really rough month. He has been exposed so bad. And I kind of hope that he comes back and comes back with the team. I just don't know how successful he'll be. They're talking about, well, we're going to talk about that in a second because that'll be a next question I got. But I just think that he has to get another chance because he's only had one bad season. But I think we all tell that he was losing it more and more, like Andy Reid did in this thing.
I agree with you. I mean, the thing is that if he fired Doug Pederson, and Doug Pederson deserved to be fired, but he didn't have to go beyond what is expected to defend Howie, because Howie needs to be fired too. He deserves to be fired for everything he's done. And yet he's being courageous to fire the coach, and yet finding all the excuses for the general manager. So
yeah, he did.
Hypocrite then. You're not being commendable. If you want to be the guy, you say, you know what, I fired the other guy, and the other guy's on the hot seat. If he doesn't perform next year, he'll be gone too. You're the owner. You shouldn't be afraid to say those things.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it sounded like Jeffrey Lurie had every excuse in the book to defend Howie. Every time any reporter came out asking about how we only have one Pro Bowler in the last 7 years, Howie Roseman was saying, "Oh well, you got to look at the whole picture. You're not looking at everything. You got to look at all of the accusations or acquisitions that we've had." It just didn't make any sense. He was just
He's being hypocritical. He's being
it's
on one side he's firing the coach because they don't see eye to eye, and yet he's finding excuses for Howie. So
Yeah, and what kind of even like who are we going to have as our next head coach? Who's going to want to come here knowing that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are pulling all the strings?
Well, that's true. Now, Jimmy, that brings us to the next point with coaching. There's so many coaching candidates out there. Okay. I mean, everybody has their own, but what I want to know, and I'm going to pose this to all three of you, I want to know what type of coach is going to fit this team next year. That type of coach.
Are you going to go? Are we going to go offense? Are we going to go defense? Like that's.
I'm asking you that. What type of coach?
I was thinking about that all day today. I think they're going to go with a guy offensive minded because that's what Lurie loves.
That's a good point.
But who would want to come here? Like you're going to be a puppet. Like I laughed today at one point when they said, "Well, maybe it'll be Kafka will be a candidate." The old quarterback that we had.
Yeah,
I guess he's with Kansas City. He's our quarterback coach.
he's their quarterback coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I heard Brady, but then I heard also today that Brady may be going to the Falcons. I mean, I'd be all about Brady, but I'm not. I just think this team's set up so the coach is set up to fail. You have to get rid of the GM and the coach and gut everything and totally rebuild, in my opinion. It's never going to work. They're going to tell you they're going to patch everything together, and it's not going to work. It's going to blow up in their face. And that press conference today he just rambled on about nothing. They would ask him. It was Les Bowen who asked a question about their drafting.
That's my favorite guy.
He went on a rant for about 3.5 minutes about nothing, like saying, "Oh, a lot of times we're there. The pick we're going to make." He goes, right before. Well, what about last year? What happened last year? The guy was right there, and you didn't take him. You went outside the box. You took a guy you could have gotten the second round.
Yeah,
I'm just so down on them. They're a mess, and it starts at the top. And he needed to get rid of both of them, and he didn't. And I mean, this city's they're going to crush Howie.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
imagine what it's going to be like next year? They can have fans in the stands.
He's now in the front of the firing line right now. He is.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. But I mean, Pederson, we all knew that there was a big disconnect with Pederson and this football team.
Without a doubt. It goes back to last year, I believe. I think it goes right back to last year when they asked him about the cheap shot on Wentz, and he said, right, I forget the reporter's name, but he literally said to the reporter, he's like, "I'll have to look at the tape and see what it was." And then Grove getting fired, and he didn't want to fire him. It's just been a disaster since then. And it went right into this year, and this is what happened.
Yeah. What did Vahe, what did Les Bowen ask him? I can't remember.
how's the picks?
Right. And then he tried to ask another question after that, but it couldn't come through because Jeffrey kept talking, I think.
Yeah, and that's basically what Jim's saying. The thing is that what really pisses me off the most, he thinks he's so smart and we're so dumb, and he has to treat us like children. He goes, "Well, you guys are not in that room. I wish one day I can write a book and explain to you what's going on."
Exactly what he said.
That's what he said. He said, "I wish one day I can write the book so guys, you can see what's going on." Yeah, I can see what's going on. You don't know what this is doing. That's what's going on. I mean, that's what really pissed me off. If somebody tries to level with you, it's one thing. Somebody treats you like, you don't know nothing. That's really insulting. And I thought that basically he was very condescending. He's acting that he's so intelligent. He knows everything. And he has to explain to us in like we're idiots. And there's reason for everything that's going on, but we don't see that. He sees that, but we don't see that. And that's what, for me, was very frustrating. And everybody asked him same question, and he refused to answer the questions.
Yeah,
I agree.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, that goes back to Armin's question. Who do we think, would be a good candidate for this job? But you really can't, I can't picture anybody right now because there's other things that need to take place first. It starts at the top with Jeffrey Lurie. Something's got to happen with Howie, whether you get somebody else in there to make picks on draft day, because that's really hurting this football team. And a lot of the decisions that Howie is making is impacting this football team. It's clear and obvious. So, I mean, we need to fix that first before we get another coach. I mean, this coach, whoever it's going to be, comes in, and if Howie's still making all these decisions, it's going to be very, very hard for him to be successful.
I think I've thought long and hard about this, but I think this team needs a coach that's more of a disciplinarian. And like, I don't know, you think offense and defense, and I got two in mind, and I know that these two have no chance in hell of being here, but these are two guys that are planning on being in the NFL, even at their age. They said that Bill Cowher has thought about coming back. I'd love to have him here because I don't think he would put up with any of that crap in the front office or with his football team. And I'm really I really like Urban Meyer. I know that he's got that persona, but there's something about him that tells me that he would look into everything in the program. My gut feeling, if I were to be the coach of this football team, I would not want to be the coordinator. I wouldn't want to call the plays on offense or defense. I want guys that would do that. I would just want to coach them up. And I would also especially want to be involved with the decision on the picks that are going to be made in the draft. I would also go as far as finding out, and I'm going to go back to our talk last week. I think the scouts have a lot to do with everything that happens in the draft. I would want to know who the scouts were over the last 6 years. I would want to see who their guys were, and then compare them to if they're still here or other guys that are here. I really would like to see the scouts. They're the ones that nobody talks about. But they also are in the background, and they don't make that much money. But the draft is what has really killed this team. And then on top of it, we got a coach that can't coach, can't teach, and an owner that really, a lot of the decisions seem like they're going up. As far as he's concerned, he's making a decision, and he's not really a football guy. He's just a guy with a lot of money that owns the football team. So I'm going to end it with this. I have the major picks of the last 5 years that Roseman made. We're either going to say pass, fail. If it's pass, say pass. If it's fail, don't say anything. Okay. 2020. Jalen Reagor, Jalen Hurts, Davion Taylor, Kayvon Wallace, Jack Driscoll, John Hightower, Sean Bradley, Quez Watkins. That's a fail. 2019, Andre Dillard, Miles Sanders, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Tariq Miller, and that one and only Clayton Thorson. We're 0 for 2. So we got 8 fails, no pass. 2018, Dallas Goedert, Avonte Maddox, Josh Sweat, Matt Pryor, Jordan Mailata.
Take a pass there.
Yeah, pass there.
It's a pass.
Very close pass. 2017, Derek Barnett, Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas, Matt
Oh, they're
Collins.
gone. They're all gone.
Another
Oh,
big
God.
one, Donnell Pumphrey. Shall I go on? Shelton Gibson and Nate Gary.
The infamous Nate Gary.
Let me see. Right now we're 4 and 12. 2016, Carson Wentz. They only had 3 more picks because they gave them all away for Wentz. Carson Wentz, Isaac Samalo, Wendell Smallwood, and Vitae.
That's a pass. I'll take it as a pass. Vitae was a good player. Smallwood was here to give us a Super Bowl, wasn't he? He was here.
Yeah, he was here for that.
All right,
He
so
was
that-
good.
I'll-
though.
I'll-
He
Yeah,
didn't
he was
play.
good. I mean,
I
there were
only
some
heard
decent
one guy
players.
say
Wentz
pass.
was the MVP that
Yeah,
league.
come on.
that
That's a
year he got
pass.
hurt.
That's
All
a
right,
pass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come
that's
on
it.
now.
Yep.
Now, how many players did I just mention? How many players did I mention here?
Probably
About 25 players. How many on this list made the Pro Bowl?
one.
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 And that
Oh, yeah.
player sucks right now. One player.
He had a sucky coach.
So, yeah, but still, I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, one Pro Bowl player. One. There are teams that have players in the last 5 years that are going to be going to the Hall of Fame. This team doesn't have a Pro Bowler. So, listen, coaching was a problem, but managing or getting these players, I mean, would you say that this is a bigger problem than the coaching?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That has to be the next step for this franchise. They got to get somebody in there that can draft players. There's no talent here.
And can develop them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Before we get off, any final thoughts on, what happened in this topsy-turvy day? Timbo?
I would love Cowher here. I'm with you 100%, but there's no way he comes here. And the best part about him is he won't put up with that crap in the front office. He tell Howie where to go. He tell Lurie where to go.
That's what I like about
He
him.
drafted the team himself. But
That's what I like.
I would
about-
love that,
actually,
but I couldn't see that happening.
it's funny. Years ago, some of the Eagles in the '80s played basketball with us in the off season, and Cowher was on the team that year, and he played with us one time. I'll tell you, man, he was one rough dude.
He looks like a cool guy.
But he was a really rough guy. Like he was pushing guys and everything, very physical. And the faces that he makes, and when he coaches, that's how he played. He was very, very physical.
Someone with
So-
passion. That's what you want.
But they would never, Lurie would never hire guys like that. One big reason would not only them not wanting some of the control, but also the amount of money they want. I know Urban Meyer wants at least $12 million to coach if he comes back. That's,
That's
and
crazy.
Pederson was making what, 5? Even though it don't go against the cap, it's still a hell of a lot of money for a coach, for a head coach.
I heard Meyer might go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. Any last second thoughts, Will?
Look, I'm actually really excited to see what happens in the next coming days. I mean, just from this press conference today, a lot of the reporters had some really solid questions, and they were kind of drilling Howie. I'm actually interested to see if maybe a little fire was set under him. I'm excited to see what happens. Hopefully something happens.
And Vahe, any thoughts on maybe who are?
I wouldn't be
first draft
surprised. Deuce Staley,
That's
the
he
company
brought him
guy,
up.
he
brought
meets
him
the
up.
minority requirements. He already said that we're looking for minority. We're not in a rush. Who else is available? Deuce Staley.
Yeah,
Chief
Gotta,
is a company guy. That's it.
he's
I
a
gotta-
company guy, but is he going to be a yes man?
I got a question though. I got a question because I actually do like this Deuce Staley thing. But if he was a head coach, are we going to be bringing back a lot of the coaches that are there now? Because if that's so, then I'm not in. I need complete overhaul of everybody. I like him as a leader. I think he's a good players coach, and I think he'd be a really good head coach. But I need to see who he would be bringing with him.
That's a very good point, and I think a lot of it is going to depend on who his offensive coordinator is going to be. Nobody
If-
brought up the enemy from Kansas City, but reports were that he was the lead on for the Falcons job, but he interviewed very poorly the other day. But that doesn't mean anything. They say that he's got a really good mind, and he would be a real good coach. But I have a funny feeling personally that it's going to be somebody that we know very little about that might be really smart, like a Mike Kafka, who I've heard a lot of good things about. He's a really smart mind. But is he going to be a yes man?
Yep, that's
And
exactly right.
when Pederson was hired, I said to myself, yes man. He will be a yes man. And how he won the Super Bowl is still beyond me.
Called
I'll
lightning
take
in a
it.
bottle.
Yep. All right. With that, I'll end it. We're half an hour in. We're going to be watching the national championship game. With that, we'll let it go. Thanks again for watching the Philadelphia Eagles. Nothing held back.